The thought of having a loved one who's facing a terminal illness is not something we like to think about. Unfortunately, many of us will be faced with this situation in our lives. Thankfully, we have hospice who's trained in the care of the terminally ill. As a nurse myself of almost 10 years, I've had the pleasure of caring for many hospice patients in different type of facility settings. Unfortunately, I so often see the fear that is evoked in the patient and family when the term hospice is used. So many people simply equate hospice with dying or giving up. Inevitably, our lives must all come to an end, but when faced with a terminal illness and choosing hospice, it does give the patient some control over what type of care they receive, well as where they receive that care for the remainder of their life. Today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how hospice was started and tell you a little bit about what hospice is and is not. In the 1960s, a British physician by the name of Dame Cicely Saunders noticed that the way we cared for our dying and terminally ill patients was really lacking. Dame Cicely started exploring ways to improve the dying process and bring awareness to the importance of patients as individuals. In 1967, Dame Cicely Saunders created St. Christopher's Hospice in London. This is the first hospice for terminally ill patients. In 1968, a nurse from the United States by the name of Florence Wald, who also was the director of nursing at Yale University, took a year sabbatical leave to go to London and work with Dame Cicely Saunders. After returning in 1974, Florence Wald, along with two pediatricians and a chaplain, founded Connecticut Hospice in Branford, Connecticut. As of today, we have over 55 hospice companies in the United States. One of the great things about hospice is not a physical place. Hospice is a form of medical care that patients can receive in their home, in a nursing home, assisted living facility, wherever they choose to call home. Hospice is able to serve them in that place. Hospice is also not only for the patient. Hospice is there to provide support and education to the family during the illness and even after. Hospice is also not only for the patients who have a matter of days or weeks left. A recent study from Yale University actually showed that half of hospice patients are admitted too late to fully benefit from the care being offered by hospice. Studies have also shown that patients live longer than those with similar diagnoses who do not receive hospice care. Hospice also does not mean giving up. Hospice is there when a cure for a disease is no longer obtainable. Hospice can do many things to control pain and reduce anxiety. Hospice also does not drug people to hasten death. So many times people think that hospice causes an early death due to the amount of pain medication that patients are given. Unfortunately, some cancers and some other illnesses in the end of life do cause a lot of pain. It's never hospice's intention to keep a person drugged up or sedated. The patient and the family have much say so over that, but it's about preserving their quality of life, not their quantity of life. And sometimes it does take a lot to have somebody not be in pain. Nobody wants to watch their loved one spend the last weeks or month moaning in pain. When a patient signs up for hospice, there are many services that are provided by hospice. One is the nursing care. Typically, a nurse will make a visit to the home a couple of times a week, but in between those couple of times, a nurse is always on call 24/7. A family or patient can call with any question they have. If the nurse cannot help them over the phone or thinks it warrants a visit, then a visit will be made to the house, whether it's 2 times a week or 10 times a week. That's just included in the service. Also, any personal care products they need, such as Depends, wipes, bed pads, any of that, hospice brings to the house. The family doesn't have to go and get any of that. Hospice brings it to them. Hospice provides it. They also provide any prescription medication that has to do with the diagnosis for the reason they're on hospice, as well as any pain or anxiety meds that are needed. Any medical equipment, be it beds, wheelchairs, walkers, potty chairs, all that is provided to the patient through hospice. Hospice also offers bereavement counseling, which is there during the time of illness, and they actually even continue to follow the family for up to 13 months after the death. There's also short term care. There actually are hospice facilities. Some people choose not to die at home. Some people don't have family that can take them home. Also, sometimes a family may need to go out of town or simply needs a break. It's a lot caring for someone who has a terminal illness. They can be placed in a facility anywhere from, a couple of days to a couple of weeks, just whatever the patient or the family may need. So, while hospice may not be for everyone, those who choose hospice find the unique caring of a loved one in the richness of sharing memories of youth, trials, and joys, a rewarding experience to never be forgotten. I hope that I have provided the information for you so that if you're ever faced with a terminal illness, it will help you in making a decision.